everyone. Thank you to all of you who participated in my What Would You Do Wednesday and for giving me your interpretation of the interaction between Rooster and Bubbles. So I wanted to actually take a little bit of time to really break this video down for you and share with you what I see and then, how this can translate with your own dogs. And so the first thing that you see in this video, well, let's back up. What you don't know is that Rooster had been laying in his bed and then Bubbles came over to start trying to play. And so while Rooster is like standing up and very stiff, he actually didn't start that interaction. And then the next thing you see is Bubbles, like her signature move is she like kind of uses her mouth and then kind of not, but she just like boops another dog, like right between their, by their little armpit or on the back of the neck or something. And so you see Rooster basically just ignoring her, but giving body language that's very stiff and obviously uncomfortable. Then he goes to try and lay back down and she keeps pushing. He does the little snarl and then he finally snaps. And so what you're really seeing is Rooster saying, I actually don't want to play with you. I don't want to play with you. And so while he was the one who snapped, I would not correct him in this situation because he had given Bubbles several signs in dog language saying, I don't want this interaction to be happening, yet she ignored it. And so what's really cool, and I think something that you can all take a little piece of information from, is when he finally snaps, for once, she backed off. And then that really just ended the interaction. So that brings me to my next point of why I didn't actually stop this from happening, because Bubbles really needs to learn from other dogs what they are saying. So it's clear she missed out on that in her life, and that's fine, and we still love her, and thankfully I have dogs that are willing to teach her that in a way that won't harm her, but hopefully we'll get the point across. And I've actually been disappointed in Rufus because he's really the one that needs to step up and do it, because unfortunately with bigger dogs and Rooster, like they think it's funny when he snaps or he growls or he does things like that, like it's a game to them. And I'll try and get it on video at some point where he's obviously saying, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, and she just keeps doing it, and then he snaps, and she, like, literally you see her face basically light up, and she's like, oh, this is so much fun. And that is when we step in. That's when we get after Bubbles and break up the play and say, nope, he's done, that's enough. And a really important thing to note is that this is after 2 weeks of them being together and constantly me monitoring them together. So the first time they met, they were both on a leash and I watched their behavior closely. The first time, because I knew Rooster would correct her. I just know Rooster and I know his style. And so I really try and keep that interaction safe, but I want to see how she's going to react once she gets that correction. And so the first thing I saw when he corrected her the first time ever is that she kind of backed off rather than like letting it lead into a fight, but it didn't actually stop her from continuing to do what she was doing. But what that showed me is that she's not looking to pick a fight, she's not looking to be a part of a fight, but she does need to just learn behavior. And so that's the other part of this. If I thought that for some reason Rooster escalating this into a situation where he's like, I don't want this, now I'm gonna, bite you to stop this. If I thought it was going to cause Bubbles to then attack Rooster, I would never even let it get to the point that it did. But because I know that Bubbles isn't looking to actually start a fight, it's better for me, in my opinion, to not intervene so that she really starts to learn, oh, this is what other dogs mean, in an environment that's safe, so that when she gets a new home, if they have another dog that, doesn't want to play all the time and they correct her, it actually encourages her to back off and she learns the appropriate way that dogs interact. And so what I want you guys to know, and those of you who are considering fostering or even adopting another dog, is do your proper intros and then know your own dog. Does your dog play well with others? Does it play no matter what? Does it, Rooster's one where he actually has not played with Bubbles very much, and I've been surprised in the aspect that he loves all of his foster dogs, especially females, but I think Bubbles' like really giant puppy play energy is just too much for him, and he doesn't want to be a part of it because he's afraid that if it gets to be too rough and rowdy, he's going to get hurt, and so he's kind of been protecting himself. But with Rufus, I know how Rufus is. Rufus is like the most tolerant dog ever, and so the first step is really knowing your own dogs, and then the second step is keeping every situation monitored and just using your best judgment and knowing when to call it quits, because sometimes, all the time, we have to advocate for our dogs, and whether that's the new dog coming in, if your dog is the one that tends to be a Bubbles, or if it's, you know, your own dog, know when to step in and when to let things play out, so that the other dog that needs it gets the experience they need to. All puppies get snapped at by their moms. They get, you know, laid on their sides, all of those things, because that's the mom teaching them, this is not appropriate, this is the way we play. I hope that was helpful. I really liked doing this. I hope to be able to catch more things on video for you guys so that we can talk about, you know, what kind of body language you're seeing and what things that I see, and then the best way to address those situations so that if you decide to foster or adopt, you're just more equipped, because I really think that we could never know too much about our own dogs, other dogs, and just dogs in general. So thanks again for everybody who took part, and we'll see you.